Welcome to The Debate. Our discussion today centers on the alpha abyssal Leviathan. Specifically, we're looking at the motivation behind its devastating global incursions. We'll be focusing quite a bit on the actions documented during that pivotal event known as the Leviathan's Gambit.
Right. And the core question really boils down to this, doesn't it? We see Leviathan destroying coastal cities, military assets. Is this fundamentally an evolved predatory strategy? Pure military thinking aimed at wiping out threats?
And this is the other side of the coin. Is it something grander? Is it primarily about deliberate planetary engineering, reshaping Earth's ecology for the long-term needs of the abyssal civilization itself?
Exactly. Two voices, two beliefs, one truth undiscovered. When humanity questions the mind of the abyss, what answers echo back?
And I'll be taking the position that the evidence, particularly the combat data, overwhelmingly points towards Leviathan acting as a military strategist, a highly sophisticated predator. Its primary goal: eliminate threats, secure resources, establish dominance. Pure and simple.
And I'll be arguing from a slightly different angle. While I don't discount the tactical brilliance, you can't, I believe Leviathan's primary function is planetary engineering. It's driven by this deep ecological imperative, reshaping Earth to fit the abyssal civilization's needs, treating our world essentially as a resource pool to be, cultivated.
Okay, let's dive into that. If we look directly at Leviathan's behavior, especially in combat, I think it really supports my view. This isn't just instinct. It's adaptive combat intelligence. We're seeing a clear military alpha here. The Fjord incident, the Leviathan's Gambit, is key evidence. The GDF set up a pretty classic ambush, right? Lured Leviathan right over those subterranean explosives.
A kill box.
Exactly. But before they could spring the trap, Trenchbreaker, which, we understand is this specialized abyssal support unit, it arrived with what the source material calls astonishing speed. It literally shielded Leviathan from the blast. Now, Dr. Tanaka, who was there, explicitly called this move strategy, not instinct. Strategy. That points to coordination, tactical hierarchy. Leviathan isn't acting alone, it's commanding.
Okay, I grant you the coordination. And the tactics were, frankly, brilliant. But strategy just describes the how, doesn't it? It doesn't define the ultimate why. The military action, however effective, could simply be the most efficient tool for achieving a much larger, non-military goal.
I just don't see how the goal was non-military in that specific moment. Look at what happened immediately after Trenchbreaker saved Leviathan. Did they retreat? Did they start some slow ecological project? No. They immediately turned and, quoting the files here, SC-2829 systematically destroyed the exposed GDF Pacific Fleet.
Right.
That's a clear, kinetic military objective. Annihilate the human threat. Securing dominance over those vital coastal areas and the resources underneath them, that is the predatory mandate. Leviathan acts as a mobile energy siphon and processing hub. Its core programming, if you will, is consume to survive. And in that context, military victory is the fastest way to secure the best feeding ground.
That's a very strong point, based on the immediate tactical fallout. But have you fully considered the fundamental nature of the abyssals themselves? The lore is quite clear. They're extremophiles, refugees. They're adapted to immense pressure. They consume chemical and geothermal energy. So while their actions look like pure destruction to us surface dwellers, they could be fundamentally driven by this larger ecological imperative, terraforming the planet to suit their needs, their deep-sea civilization. Destroying cities isn't just about removing obstacles. It might be site preparation.
Okay, but how does destroying a surface fleet contribute to creating a deep-sea habitat? That seems like a massive waste of energy for a pretty minimal environmental gain down deep.
Well, Dr. Eris Thorne's analysis gives us a direct link there. Leviathan uses those incredibly high-pressure water jets not just to knock down buildings, but specifically, as Thorne notes, to carve canyons through coastal cities, deliberately flooding them. Thorne was explicit, he said, and I'm quoting from memory here, something like, It's terraforming. It's making the land more like the sea. That's SC-36. So it's creating new deep channels, optimal for abyssal movement, yes, but also increasing hydrostatic pressure in those zones, which is crucial for their biology. This isn't just clearing rubble, it's actively engineering territory suited for their long-term survival and, importantly, for channeling resources. And we see this ambition away from direct military clashes, too. Think about the Victoria Falls incident. Leviathan tried to force its way up the falls. Why? To gain access to the continent's inner river systems. That wasn't about hunting GDF soldiers. It was about expanding aquatic territory deep inland. That's large-scale habitat restructuring. The resource goal seems to outweigh the immediate tactical risk there.
I see the logic, but I'd frame that terraforming very differently. Yes, the flooding happens, the deep channels are carved, but I'd argue that this ecological shaping is a highly effective secondary outcome. It's a byproduct of efficiently eliminating human infrastructure. Where do humans build? On the coasts, often over geothermal hotspots, near tectonic fault lines, precisely the energy sources the abyssals need. So the flooding is just the quickest way to clear out the infestation, us, humanity, and grab the resource simultaneously.
An infestation? That's a harsh way to put it.
Well, from an abyssal perspective maybe. It's resource clearance plus threat elimination. Those deep channels, they're just the most efficient path for Leviathan, the mobile energy hub, to move between these newly cleared resource zones. That efficiency, that focus on clearing and accessing, makes it fundamentally a predatory strategy to me.
I'm still not convinced the ecological goal is secondary. If the source material is right, and the abyssals are this ancient, nomadic civilization searching for energy across vast cosmic distances, then reshaping the environment to access that energy is the primary strategic objective. Their whole purpose, consumed to survive, depends on expanding energy access and building, well, sustainable supply lines for their civilization. Creating those deep water canyons, like in SC-36, isn't just convenient. It allows faster, deeper access to terrestrial resources far from the coast. The engineering is the strategy because it serves their deepest biological and potentially societal needs. They're not just clearing a path. They're building the necessary infrastructure for their resource pipeline.
Okay, but that brings us right back to the fjord. If the ultimate goal is long-term geological restructuring, why deploy such sophisticated multi-titan military strategy? Counter gambits involving coordinated sacrifice, like Trenchbreaker? You use that kind of strategy to win a fight, right now. It implies military victory is the immediate, non-negotiable first step.
That strategy, though, it just serves their deep time goals. The lore mentions they're nomadic, focused on maximizing energy. And we have other evidence suggesting a goal beyond simple hunting. Remember the symbiosis observed at the Dead Sea? A Terran Titan, Magmox, and an abyssal, Krak-Os, were seen peacefully trading. It wasn't a fight. It was a resource exchange. Dr. Tanaka's insight was pretty chilling. This isn't a war. It's an economy.
An economy, right.
That points to a larger resource-driven purpose, maybe even a societal structure focused on energy management, not just moment-to-moment predation.
But doesn't the existence of an economy actually reinforce my point? Military victory is the absolute prerequisite for participating in that economy or for securing those long-term resources. The GDF's failure in the fjord led to the annihilation of the Pacific Fleet. That's SC-2829 again. Leviathan prioritized immediate tactical advantage. Why? Because that fleet posed a direct threat to the abyssal energy interests in that region.
A threat, yes, but
And colossal energy destroying ships that pose no direct threat to the deepest trenches where abyssals supposedly thrive. You have to concede the fleet represented an immediate, existential threat to the Alpha and its operations. Defeating it secured their, let's call it, market access. The military win came first.
I acknowledge the fleet was a threat, okay? But I'd argue it was a threat to the efficiency of their resource acquisition, not to the overarching mission itself. You might be mistaking necessary self-defense for a primary offensive doctrine. Trenchbreaker's sacrifice, Leviathan's counterattack. It shows intelligence focused on removing impediments to consumption, clearing the way for their engineered pipelines. It's aggressive defense serving the ecological engineering project.
But if the goal is maximum efficiency, as you suggest, isn't destroying an entire fleet inherently inefficient in terms of energy spent? Compared to, say, just avoiding the fleet, which is surely possible for a Titan like Leviathan. They chose to fight. They chose annihilation. Doesn't that massive energy expenditure to ensure dominance suggest that dominance itself, the military victory, is the primary driver?
That's a fair challenge, but maybe the long-term cost of avoiding that conflict, allowing the GDF to constantly monitor, target, and disrupt future terraforming, is actually higher than the short-term energy cost of eliminating the threat completely. And this loops back to the intelligence factor. The GDF said Leviathan was too smart, capable of strategy. Yes, but that sophisticated coordination, that counter-gambit, it demonstrates an intelligence dedicated not just to warfare for its own sake, but to long-term species survival.
I agree the intelligence is undeniable, but we need to look at its function. You're painting a picture of a general leading an army. I see a chief engineer clearing a construction site. The lore says abyssals are a collective consciousness, extremophiles. Their intelligence is likely laser-focused on maximizing energy efficiency and survival over vast timescales. Leviathan's intelligence is the ultimate expression of its unique ecology, a predatory ecology, yes, but one focused on consuming available energy and removing anything that blocks that consumption. Fleet, city, mountain range, if it's in the way, it goes. The strategy serves the biology. The military action just secures the worksite for the ecological transformation.
And I maintain that distinction is key. The tactical choice reveals the priority. Executing complex combat maneuvers, prioritizing ship destruction over immediately accessing, say, a deep geothermal vent nearby, that suggests military ends are chosen over simple foraging when there's a conflict. For the Alpha Abyssal, military dominance is the most efficient path to resource acquisition. Therefore, it's the primary driver. Leviathan is fundamentally a predator, a warrior, whose combat success guarantees its civilization's survival.
And I still insist that while the strategy is certainly impressive, it's deployed solely in service of that one non-negotiable societal goal, reshaping this planet to ensure their survival. They are hyper-efficient planetary engineers, using combat intelligence as a tool, like a bulldozer, to clear sites and secure access for their resource pipelines. The warfare is just a means to a geological end.
So we've definitely explored this tension between Leviathan's tactical brilliance and its potentially planet-altering agenda. I still believe the immediate coordinated military actions we've seen definitively mark it as a sophisticated predator focused on dominance and threat removal.
And I remain convinced that the sheer scale of its destructive actions, often meticulously aimed at expanding aquatic territory and tapping into global resource networks, confirms its fundamental role. An architect, a planetary engineer acting for its entire civilization.
I suppose both views shed light on different facets of a very complex truth. Leviathan is without doubt a terrifyingly effective strategist, but perhaps that strategy is deployed in service of this immense planet-altering ecological agenda.
It leaves us really contemplating the chilling implications here, the non-human logic of these titans. It suggests our human interpretations, whether we focus on the military threat or the environmental shift, might always be, well, incomplete.
Maybe it's not the ocean that's changing. Maybe it's us.
Debate unresolved. Discussion archived under Directive 09.